helpless, broken, desperate, longing for something or someone to intervene and bring a miraculous rescue. These are the men scarred by the streets, wounded by years of addiction, written off by society, sometimes even their families, yet loved by God, seen as valuable by Him, and brought back to life through the ministry of the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army Southeast Michigan Adult Rehabilitation Center, or ARC, serves drug and alcohol-addicted men through a holistic, faith-based residential program focused on achieving the goals of recovery, long-term sobriety, employment, and positive life transformation. Since the program was established more than 80 years ago, the ARC has assisted tens of thousands of men, rehabilitating their minds, regenerating their spirits, and renewing their bodies.
Men come here as a last resort, really. I mean, they can no longer, take care of themselves. Their life has become totally unmanageable, and they need help. I mean, when they come through the door, they're broken, spiritually, physically, financially, socially, and we do our best to restore them.
The journey here for all of us was basically the same. It was homelessness, rejection, unemployed, unemployable.
Addiction isn't a poverty thing. Addiction can affect anyone in any walk of life, and we see that by the men that come in. Unfortunately, the men that come into this program have probably at this point lost their jobs, lost their family, they've lost any insurance that they have. So when they come to us, they come because they don't have any other place to go.
Founded in 1865 by a Methodist minister named William Booth, the Salvation Army alleviates suffering, bringing hope, life, and greatly needed resources to the poor and less fortunate. Booth was a visionary. His innovative approach to human services was detailed in writings like In Darkest England and The Way Out. His vision was to transform lives, helping outcasts become productive members of society and reach their true potential.
He told his son Bramwell, said, "Did you realize there's people sleeping underneath the bridge out there in the East End of London?" And his son said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, then go do something about it." And that's exactly what he did, and that's why we have this program today.
We are the vision of William Booth. We are the rehabilitation program. That's the only reason we're here doing what we do every day is for the men.
Completely self-funded, the ARC draws its entire operating budget from the proceeds of more than 24 Red Shield thrift stores in the metro area. 100% of the income generated by the sale of donated goods is reinvested in this program, making the miracle of rehabilitation possible. In the past 10 years, the ARC has reinvigorated its retail store operations, remodeling existing stores and opening new supercenters that have changed the way people view thrift store shopping.
We started with 9 stores, we now have 24. We were in 1 primary county, we're now in 5. We have 32 trucks circulating around. And if we were at, $2.5 million 7 years ago, and Merle will probably shoot me, but to say, well, we're going to close the books this year around 27 million. Next year, we're looking close to 30. I never would have believed that it would become what it is today. And that's not bragging, because without him, without God, we wouldn't have had a chance.
What we do with a sense in mind that this is really something bigger than us. This isn't just payroll, this isn't just store. This is how we help the men by doing our part in the finance office, in the business office.
It's a big business, and we treat it like a business. We've always treated it like a business, and if we give people a fine, clean, good-looking store in a safe area in which to shop, they will come and shop.
I'm just amazed at what people donate. Brand new merchandise and I mean, we have an auction at the Rochester store every year that generates $40,000. It is a treasure hunt. Every time you come to the Salvation Army, you have no idea what's going to be on the floor. And every day, every store puts out thousands of new pieces of clothing, thousands of new pieces of brick. As it comes through the back of the store and it gets processed, it goes right out onto the floor. So it's a brand new store every single solitary day. It's a real sense of pride to know that all this money that we're generating, I mean, we'd help fund the new building downtown. We help fund other Salvation Army thrift stores that aren't making it. So it's an honor to be able to contribute this kind of income to the Salvation Army.
Those revenues are providing back to the Donald Muses in the kitchen, or the Billy Taylors for counseling, or Karen in finance, and on and on and on.
The Army's Red Shield thrift stores break the mold, offering best-in-class value, selection, and service for the consumer. And the end result is an ever-increasing level of revenue available to fund the ARC's mission and programming. The ARC is a place where the cycle of despair becomes a circle of hope. Grounded in the Christian faith, the center offers men a chance to rebuild their lives by completing a voluntary 180-day residential program. At each stage in the journey, from detox to graduation, beneficiaries build the dignity, self-esteem, and personal strength that will allow them to live free of addiction and regain their rightful place as responsible members of society.
Someone who never followed directions all their life, you just follow directions now. You just do it, whatever it is, and it works. And you have to remember that. Guys like me have to remember things like that. You know, well, don't ask questions. Just do it. You did not do it before. So to keep what you have now, you just do it.
There's a certain structure, you know, that's needed to integrate into society. I mean, you got to conform to some rules and regulations and guidelines, and you know, and that's not something that the men are accustomed to.
You take the Christian concepts that they teach here, you take the staff, you take the classes, you take the work therapy, which to me is really important because most of us that have been out there have these huge gaps in work histories, if we even have work histories out there, a lot of the guys, and they don't have a work ethic. And I think the guy who seizes all that, takes the opportunity and seizes all of it, he gets a work ethic for the first time in his life. He can take that out the door and he can show that to somebody, you know, I can do this.
Being irresponsible is part of the addiction. And by me staying focused on myself and what I'm doing here, hopefully someone else will see that and challenge themselves to walk that same avenue.
The ARC program is holistic, addressing the physical, spiritual, and emotional needs of men battling addiction. The core program framework